If you're my age, you remember going to a friend's house and ending up with a weird third-party second controller. They never quite worked as well as the first-party one, giving you a handicap before the game even started. Fast forward to today, and some manufacturers are delivering controllers with features and functionality that exceed even the first-party models. One such manufacturer is 8BitDo, and today we're going to take a look at a pair of controllers, the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 Bluetooth controller and the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 Bluetooth 2C controller. I'm Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for GamingTrend.com. Let's solve that Player 2 problem, shall we? Opening the box, we're greeted by the controller in a protective bag with a handful of plastic protectors over the glossy bits. Taking a look around the controller, you'd be forgiven for mistaking it for a first-party one from a distance. Underneath the controller is the charging dock. Flipping over the charging dock, you'll find a small compartment containing the upgraded 2.4 GHz USB-C adapter. When the controller comes off the charging base, it instantaneously reconnects thanks to this little guy, so don't lose it. What's great is that it can function from within the dock if you're using a USB-A connection to your PC, so there's no need to double dip. This quick start card goes over the two modes. There's a small switch in the back of the controller to switch between them. This switch lets you flip to either Bluetooth or 2.4 GHz mode, and this card will teach you how to pair them. There's even information on how to pair this with your phone if you're so inclined. Better still, this little guy is Switch 2 compatible, but we'll come back to that later. Heading into the software, you can see that any updates for the firmware are accomplished here. Once you've set your profile, you're free to map every button on the controller to do whatever you'd like it to. The next tab over is macros for when you want to dive in even deeper, recording specific actions to a button press. The stick tab is a great way to ensure your sticks are calibrated, but these are Hall effect switches, so I'm going to venture to guess you're not going to need it. The trigger tab is the same. You can see the full range here, but these are also Hall effect. Vibration tests the left and right rumble functions in the controller and also allows you to tune the intensity. The RGB tab has all of your lighting, but for that, we're going to need a little bit of a deeper dive. Before we move on from the sticks, I can call these Hall effect, and that's technically true, but more accurately, these are TMR. TMR, or tunneling magnetoresistance, is the next generation of contactless magnetic sensing mechanisms. These are built with a far higher resolution, 12-bit or 4096 levels of capture versus 10-bit or 1024 positions for Hall effect, not only providing even more fluid motion, but also precision and responsiveness. Even better, these use significantly less power, adding hours to your battery life for a wireless controller. There are no parts to wear out because nothing touches anything, no dead zones, and these have far more tunable stick curves. There's nothing but upsides here. Back to the lighting, there's more than just lights here. 8BitDo is calling these interactive light tracing. If you enable it, you'll get a bit of feedback on your interaction. Button presses register with a light flash, circle motion shows a circle around the stick, and gradual trigger pulls or bumper presses also register. Each button is programmable in the software, so you can choose how you'd like that lighting mapped, as well as what colors. There's even a hex code support if you want to get very, very specific. It's a cool effect, makes the controller unique, and gives folks a visual if you're competing on a camera is on your hands. Great for events like EVO. The next tab is motion, and that brings us back to the Switch 2. You can't have a Switch or Switch 2 controller that doesn't support motion. It has to have that same functionality as the Pro, right? Well, here you go. Very few systems or games outside of Nintendo support this, but I'm sure those of you emulating older hardware can think of some good uses outside of the aforementioned Switch and Switch 2 support. The only thing missing here is the NFC Amiibo support, and frankly, when we talk about the price, you're going to forget all about that. Flipping over the controller for a much closer look, you can see two small paddles and two small switches. These switches are trigger locks. They limit the travel for the triggers, making a short pull react as if it was a full pull. When milliseconds matter, this might be your go-to, whereas when you're using the trigger as a gas pedal or throttle, you probably want the whole range. The paddles underneath are pro controller territory, giving you two additional buttons accessible without lifting your fingers. In practice, this thing is my new go-to, replacing a long parade of controllers with wonky connectivity, mushy buttons, and worse. Yes, there are controllers in the triple-digit price range that will beat this one, but the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 Bluetooth controller with a dock is somewhere between $52, the current price at the time of recording, and $62, depending on the sale. That's still less than a third-party controller you'd have to charge with a cable, and with less features. You'll have more than enough money left over to buy a swanky carrying clamshell case. 8BitDo does make a few super cool ones of these. There are a ton of options for colors and patterns. I just happen to choose the one that's white because it looks awesome. It seems like every other day there's a new one that catches my eye. The new 40th anniversary Nintendo one is especially alluring. If you don't want the dock and maybe want to save even more money, let's take a closer look at the 8BitDo Ultimate 2C. If you're thinking this is going to strip back to just the controller, I've got some news for you. Inside the box is the controller, yes, but also a pair of little rubber stick grips, a nice pack-in if you're into that sort of thing. These kind of remind me of the glyphs from Legend of Zelda. Also in the box is a USB-C dongle, which you'll need for 2.4 GHz, only this time there's no dock. Naturally, there's also a charging cable, USB-A to C, though it's worth pointing out that it matches the controller itself, a nice touch. There are a lot more features in common with its bigger brother, but you can plainly see that you're dropping the trigger locks, interactive light tracing, and under the hood, the 6-axis motion control. That means you won't be using this for motion, but you can still use it as a controller on the Switch 2 if you aren't using those functions. That said, it still holds on to things that really matter. 1000Hz polling rate, Hall effect triggers and sticks, custom mapping for buttons, rumble, improved D-pad, and a speed to connect that is shockingly fast. Pricing on the 2C is remarkably low at just $24.99. Even those cheap junk controllers we got handed as a kid cost more than that. For this level of quality, that's just a steal by any measure. These end up with about 25 to 30 hours of battery life versus its bigger brother at around 25, so plug them in every other day. As somebody who's been using 8BitDo since back when they first started shipping their NES and Super NES reproductions, and let me tell you, that is the only way to play retro Nintendo as far as I'm concerned, it comes as no surprise to me that this newest iteration of the Ultimate controllers are every bit as comfortable and feature-rich as the first-party ones. Okay, maybe you still buy the cheaper ones for your kids, but the fact that both of these are options that are every bit as good, if not better, than the first-party choices is a feather in 8BitDo's cap. That makes both of these an easy recommendation in my book. If I'm choosing, it's the one with the dock every time. That's going to line up more cleanly, keeping the space free of clutter, and it's also going to stay charged on top of that. I didn't think 8BitDo could improve on the previous Ultimate line of controllers, but they continue to find a way, and at a price that can only be called very aggressive. I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for GamingTrend.com. Let me know down in the comments, what's the weirdest controller you've ever been saddled with as Player 2? Thanks for watching, do the liking and subscribing to appease the YouTube powers that be. I'll see you on the next one.